Hello all, Alison here, welcome back to Words and Pictures. Today I'm going to have just a few minutes of fun building the next layers into this hardback book art journal page. We had a look at the background, building this texture in a previous episode. I'll link that in the description below. And I've just gathered a few things around that I feel like I might want. I dare say I'll have to go and grab some more things before too long. The main thing is that I have identified both a Tim Holtz paper doll, who I think is going to take his place there, and one of the portraits photos that I think is going to, because there's something about the relationship between these two that I'm really interested in. His slightly smug smile that might be also hiding some gritted teeth, and her extremely solemn expression. I think there's something to do with who's being allowed to go off and get educated and who's not being allowed to go off and get educated, and so on and so forth. But before we get on to any of that, if you've watched the background video, you may be noticing that some of this colour here has faded into this texture. It's a couple of weeks, I think, probably since I did it. And that will happen with old book pages and also with the gesso. As the ink dries fully from the sprays, it will soak into the paper some more. So there's a couple of things you can do. You can add some more layers of the ink pigment, which will build colour. So we could do that. We can have a quick spritz and a quick spray. Let's see, maybe Stormy Sky, to just add back in some of that detailed texture. But again, that is going to dry. It will build the layers a little bit. Now I'm stuck with rotating ink again, which you saw happen in the previous video. So I'm not going to spend too long doing this. In a minute, I'm going to stop and just dry it and show you one of the other ways to just make sure that your texture stays highlighted. And that's going to be using some other mediums, other possibilities. So I've grabbed a couple of the Tim Holtz Distress crayons here. I've got some blues and some browns, Stormy Sky, Hickory Smoke, I think Ground Espresso is here, Walnut Stain. So they are fantastic for highlighting texture, adding texture. You can do similar things with the Caran Neocolors. These are the Neocolor II Aquarel. So they are also, like all distress products, reactive with water. So they'll play nice games when we add moisture. Oh, there's a white one of those. I've also got, I'm a huge fan, as you may already have heard, of Daniel Smith watercolour paints, and they also produce watercolour sticks. So this is my favourite Moon Glow. I've only got a few of the sticks. I've invested in a few of my favourite colours in the sticks, and you can use those in quite a similar way as well. So actually, do I need to let this dry? Yes, I will, because otherwise it's just going to confuse issues. So I'm going to quickly dry this, and then I'll be back to play with adding some texture highlighting using some of these crayon affairs. Back in a sec. So that's dried that spritz of ink. It occurs to me that the other thing, of course, that will be permanent always is an acrylic paint. So I thought I might just, to get colour down behind the texture, I'm just going to use some of this beautiful Paper Artsy Midnight chalk acrylic. You can see what an amazing colour that is. It's quite similar actually in distress terms to the Uncharted Mariner, and I'm putting quite a lot of water on that so that it'll drop down behind the texture. And you can see I'm just applying that very roughly, and with the water I'm just dipping in a jar of water off camera here. I promise I'm not doing anything secret. If I get that watery enough, I can do the same thing with it as I was doing with the sprays, and just let it move around like so. So that I'm going to dab dry, and then I'm going to put a bit over here. I'm really enjoying the rich pigment of that. I mean, it's still, you know, it wasn't a waste of time doing the sprays underneath. I've still got that layer of texture, or that layer of interest and detail going on underneath, and it does do slightly different things. A bit more water on this bit to get it moving. And here's where it's really useful that I used, if you go back to that original video, an archival ink for this bit of brown stenciling underneath, because that's going nowhere, as you can see, even though I'm now applying a lot of water and a lot of paint. That's all staying put. Good. If I weren't filming, I would probably do something interesting with all this paint that I've got on here. Actually, quite a lot of that is water, not paint, so it's fine. But I'm just going to mop it up. And again, I'm going to have a quick dry of this, and then, as promised, come back and do some crayon work. So that's nice and dry, and I'm now going to come in with, I think I might start with Picket Fence, which is the white distress crayon. These are great. They've got a beautiful sort of textured quality to them, and you can immediately see how that catches on the texture. I'm going to do a little bit of that in the middle and a little bit of that here, and it immediately catches on all those raised words from that amazing Gothic script. I'm going to put in a bit of hickory smoke around the edges, and that gives me a darker highlight. You just roll it up from the bottom. Like, I understand you would a lipstick. Not that that's a thing I know anything about. And then these are also water soluble or movable until you fully dried them. So one of the things I love to do is get in there and get just a little bit mucky. That's the hickory smoke around the edges that I'm really giving quite a sort of rough going over with my finger to get that texture. Did I put some? I can't even remember if I put some around here. Yes, I did. I can see it. So again, I'm taking my finger, and just the sort of moisture of my finger is enough. If I want a little bit more, again, I can dip my finger in the water pot just over the side, and that'll allow me to move that crayon pigment around even more. And I love that that gets you this sort of really weathered, aged look to it. The more I put on, more water, the more I'm going to be able to move that around. And if I don't like what I've got, it is possible, whilst it's still wet, before it dries, you can get rid of quite a lot of it as well, if you don't want it there. But I'm quite enjoying that highlighting of the texture. Now that this is damp, as I put the crayon on, that's going to immediately soften the impact of the crayon. So again, I'm really enjoying that white, highlighting those words, and it's now against quite a dark, shadowy background. Yeah, I think, and again, this is background. It's not meant to be the main feature. So that might be enough. Do I want a little bit of colour from these? I might put a bit of the Caran blue into there. And I'm just sort of putting that in between the words so that I can then come in with a wet brush again. Just add some water and let that colour start to move around. And you can see that's mixing with the picket fence and just giving me some variation of colour, which is quite nice over the midnight. It's just adding detail. And then what I might do is just, if I can get it off, yeah, flick a bit of that onto the page in between. Yep, good, all nice. So again, I think that's going to need just a little bit of drying. I keep running away to dry things today. Or I can dry while I talk to you about what might or might not happen next. Yeah, so these guys, yes, it's still about learning, isn't it? Because it's words and it's sacred texts or something in this Gothic font. And there's something about the relationship of scale of these two. Obviously the portraits are closer up, so she's much bigger. So she wants to be in the foreground. For my brain, if he goes in the foreground and she goes in the background, my brain can't quite deal with that. I really want her close up, eyeballing us from there, and he's sort of perched up and away in the background. So I'm sort of thinking that one looks at this from here. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, I want a bit more. See, you can always layer up more detail, more interest. So where that blue's gone on, I want to reinstate a bit of the white texture so that the words come back. Yeah, don't want it too dark, this page. So they're going to go there. He needs something to sit on. The simplest thing is very often just a little bit of washi tape or design tape. So I think he's going to get that to sit on. I have pulled out some of this textured fabric fibre, but I'm not sure that I want it on this occasion. I'm feeling like we've got plenty of texture going on with that. Let's just take a little bit of it and see if we like having it around. I think it was on sale at some sort of, at one of those decor type stores, cheapy decor type stores. Kick, it's called here in the Czech Republic, and I think it's probably in Germany as well. And it was being sold as fishing net so that you could just sort of put some decor with your house plants and things. Do I like that? I don't think it's quite the effect I'm after. Oh well, except I do like it as a texture for her to emerge out of. That's got quite a nice look to it. Yeah, let's do it. I was thinking it's important not to stop and think for too long, because you start second guessing yourself. If the impulse strikes, follow the impulse. It'll lead somewhere, who knows where. So I'm just putting some medium down that happens to be gloss medium, but it's not going to show up much underneath all that texture. And then I'm just going to let that spread out into the page. And it's just adding some detail and some texture and some interest and some sort of ooh for the eye to catch on, and the fingers if you were going around stroking the book. Yeah, see, I do quite like that. I do want a bit of balancing going on over here though. So I don't think I want him sitting on it. I think that'll look a bit silly. So I think at this side it might just sort of emerge or be bounced around the corner. Yeah, let's go with that. I've got it all over the mat here, so I'm going to get that up. And I'm just going to let that, again, compositionally echo the one down below, but I might have a bit less of it. Sticky, sticky. You want enough glue to catch the fibre. And you can see that the mediums underneath all remain reactive with moisture. So even though it's not water, as that glue goes on, it's softening the look of the words underneath. But that's all right because I'm putting texture over. So I really don't mind that. Having said I want less, I put it in and I kind of go, no, I don't want less. I want more. And I'm fine with not all those strands being fully glued down. I want the texture of them sort of moving around. Great. Now we'll give him something to sit on. What should we give him? I think we'll give him a bit of this design tape. And the other thing about that is it'll give us a nice horizontal focus. So I think we'll just pop in a little bit of that. I don't mind that those words are going on underneath, upside down. That's not relevant at this point. Yeah, but I want a bit more support for him there. So the great thing about these Tim Holtz design tapes is they come in all sorts of thicknesses. Those two are actually quite similar in thickness compared to some. There are some that are really broad and some really, really narrow little ones. Yeah, and as always with the design tape, like any parcel tape you've ever wrapped presents with in your life, it's a question of finding where the end is. If you're an efficient person, you can fold over your ends when you've torn off a bit, and then you'll be able to find them again and they won't have stuck down. Look at that. There's a tip that I never ever use myself. So I'm going to layer that over like so. So that just gives him a bit more of a bench, and it gives me a bit more playroom about what height he sits at. But that grounds him beautifully. I kind of would like her to have a bit as well, actually. Maybe not the same amount, and maybe not therefore exactly the same tapes, but I do like this brown one because it's echoing that brown stenciling in the background. So I'm quite enjoying that presence of the blue and brown. Was where my crafting journey started. Obsessionally looking at blue and brown. If we put her up a bit, we get that. Actually, what I might do is tuck her behind that tissue paper. That's better. So that becomes a kind of, there it is. So before she goes walkabout, it's time to glue her down. Or do we want to? I'm almost certainly want some more ephemera going on. So actually, maybe we'll just leave her with this tape on her. But I do want it straight. At the moment, it's a little bit crooked. Let's take those 2 layers of tape. See, that's quite good because he's sitting on it and she's tucked away behind it. There you go. There's the story developing. He gets to move forward in his life because of learning. She's held back, tucked away behind because she doesn't get to go to school. A girl in that era, if she's lucky, has a governess at home to teach her some basics. French language, probably. A bit of music, a bit of watercolour painting. Not that I mind being taught watercolour painting. That would have been a good ingredient in school as far as I'm concerned. Nothing of the sort. And yeah, I'm clearly not done with adding distress crayon to the texture. So let's have a look at that. I keep holding this up because, as you know, if you've seen the book flip through, which I think might have already appeared, I don't know what order these are going to come at you in. I have filmed a flip through, excuse me, I have filmed a flip through of this book, and sooner or later you'll get to see it. So I think some background ephemera is now the order of the day. I like that one, but that's quite a lot of that. I don't want all of it. So as I often do with these, particularly when I'm balancing tags, I'm going to go with half and half. So she'll get half and he'll get half. And then we've got that echo happening from one side of the page to the other. And that I do want tucked behind this design tape. As you can see, if you haven't put any glue down yet, you've still got a bit of playtime to be able to lift that up, tuck whatever it is behind. Yeah, that's good. Enjoying that. We don't want hers the other way up. Or maybe we do. Want it that way up. Yeah, see, accidentally found out what I wanted to have happen. And that's very often the way with all these ephemera bits. It's have a little play, move them around a little bit, see what it is you want to have happen. I think it might be time for a couple of number strips, little snippets labels. Let's grab a couple of those out. I think I want them in neutral colours. Yeah, look, he's got to set off for school. He has to be there by 9 p.m. on the Sunday evening so that he can begin school on Monday. Definitely boarding school. She's stuck at home having to just make do with whatever's allowed. But she would dearly love to be studying all these number formulas. There she is with some French. Told you she was learning French. He'll be getting little packages at school, I should think. He doesn't like doing all the numbers and all the algebra. Not a fan of all that. So again, I'm just picking elements that will echo from side to side of the page. I think I'd quite like something a bit more contrasting, something a bit darker. Maybe he'll have one of these. Maybe he's going to get to study engineering and things. Let's have a look at that, maybe tucked in there. Yeah, quite enjoying that. So now I need a dark element over here. I'm going to deprive her of engineering in the same way that she's been deprived of it. Oh, look, see, and as with all girls, she's maybe been told you have to handle her with care in case hysteria kicks in. I'll move that up a little bit. Yeah. So now, having got to a sort of basic of that, I'm going to glue these down. And what I usually do with this is, rather than gluing right to the edges, I'm going to put my glue not quite to the edges so that I can still, if I want to, tuck other things underneath. The tip of my glue doesn't want to cooperate. Here it comes. So, as I've mentioned before, this is the Cosmic Shimmer acrylic glue. I believe it's available in the UK rather than the States, so you'll just have to find your own equivalent for that. So again, I'm putting it not right to the edges, so if I do want to tuck some labels under there, I'm putting a little bit extra onto the design tape because it's not that adhesive, particularly if it's going onto a rough textured background like I'm giving it here. I'm expecting it to do quite a lot of work. And then, do we think that label's a bit much? I'm not going to glue that down just yet because I'm not entirely convinced by it. This, however, I'm going to tuck some glue behind here. Glue that down. You see what I mean now about it going over the textured background. That can sometimes cause small problems with adhesion, but you just have to be firm. Let it know you're not going to give in. You want it glued down? Glue down. I do like that Holtz label. That's quite pleasing. And he's going to sit just in front of it. Again, I'm not going quite to the edges on these. The glue will spread out as I press it down, of course, but it still leaves me the possibility to tuck some other things underneath if I want to. So here's his instructions when he's got to arrive by. And here's some of the algebra he's going to be struggling with over the next days and weeks and months and terms. I know it's not really algebra, but it is now in my head. That's too much at the same level as that one. Not enjoying that, so we'll move it down here. Something else will go up there. Good. That's maybe a bit much. Not enjoying it tremendously. What else have we got in here? Little numbers. Maybe that's enough. No, too much. What else have we got that's dark that can provide some contrast? Coat room check. She's going to be going to parties rather than school. No, don't like that. What are these numbers like? Nope, too much. Maybe this goes sideways. Nope. Down in this bottom corner. Nope. See, I thought I wanted something dark and contrasting down there, but I've not found it yet. This pack is the Urban pack, so it is full of darker elements. Nice. Maybe she gets a contrast to the dark. No. Let's have a look in one of these others. So this is the palette pack. This has got all sorts of different colours. Oh, look, that's a train ticket that she might want to go and visit her brother at school. Oh, look, see, they're brother and sister. Who knew? Ah, see, that's quite enjoyable. And what else have we got in here that's of a useful colour? She's sending him love letters? No, that seems a bit excessive. If she can send him letters. They're probably allowed to receive letters on Sundays from their family. Oh, which would mean she needs some postage stamps, but they're not quite the right colour frame for this. Well, that's about getting a book out. Yeah, and I think what I might do with this is I might do that same trick, cutting it in half so that she gets half and he gets half. So again, it just allows me to have an echo from one side of the page to the other. And hers is gonna, yes, okay, I'm gonna glue those down while I like them before I change my mind. And there's her number sticker. She's ordering boxes of something from somewhere. I don't think she does want that. Let's pop this here for now. It's glued over the top of her shiny surface, so if need be, I think I can probably get that up again. I'm wondering if there's anything nice and dark in here. Oh, look. Yep, enjoying the layer of that. So sometimes it's about what the labels say, and sometimes it's just about their presence. And there was something rather good about that. Let's have a look at him. Right, so I'm really enjoying this going on here. Hers is not quite done as far as I'm concerned, but I've just realised that what she could have as a circle, he's got a circle going on here, so I'm quite keen to get a circle going on down here, is I've got some metal bits and bobs, little Idea-ology bits, not all Idea-ology, some are other things, and I think what we might give her is around one of these. What have we got? Journey, lifetime. Oh, look, she's stuck in her lifetime without being allowed her education. Yeah, so if that goes there, that's now got an echo going to over here. So that's going to need a little bradawl. What page am I going through into the back of? Now there's a bit of luck. With luck, that'll be covered by these, or I can get the thing just to come through. Yes, look, not fully glued down. So I can send my fastener through into there. Just a little bradawl to make the hole. It's going through her as well as through the page. And then I've got all my little fasteners tucked away. So that'll go through, and you just open out the folded bits behind. Anybody who did any scrapbooking in the height of scrapbooking will be very familiar with fastening brads. There we are. Now that's starting to work better for me. I would, however, like some metal going on up here. So she's got a little silver metal thing. I think I'm going to add something here to his holding. So that's going to need to hold some kind of label, otherwise it makes no sense. Why is it there? Haha. Yep, enjoyed that little bit of tucking of something extra in there. So let's see if we can find her something extra over here. I did a minute ago see a rather lovely Paris label. There are people who sort through all their ephemera packs and put them in a nice orderly fashion so that they can see everything laid out in files and folders and sketchbooks. As you can see, I'm not that person. I'm sorting through here because I saw it just disappear down into the... This could be quite nice. What's that saying? Manufacturer of sacks and bags. Bags and holders. I'm still looking for things that are in that same colourway. So the blues and the browns, or white and black. I don't want to start embarking on a new colour right now. That's too blue. What about this little playing card here? That's quite a nice little... She's stuck playing cards for the rest of her life. It's not such a bad thing to have happen. What about one of these little tiny labels? Maybe there's something in here that will serve my turn. Yes, you see, I just want something, a little dark label like that, to just add extra detail up here. Yeah, that will do. It's as simple as that. And you'll notice I didn't even glue this one down because it's being held in place perfectly happily by that clip. Let's pop that there. So one of the things she may be allowed to study is botany. They may let her go out picking flowers and doing painted studies. That's likely to happen. And a little echo of that may be tucked, yeah, under there. Or does it want to go? No, he's already got enough going on. And of course, the thing that is missing in a larger way, as far as I'm concerned, are just a few words. That's maybe what could be black for her. He's got the black gauge, but we could pick some black and white words to go with her. Choose to see the good stuff. Life doesn't have to be perfect. All too positive. Too positive. Take the scenic route. The journey is the destination. Wishing you all you're wishing for, but you're not going to get it. Replace fear of the unknown with curiosity. That's quite nice. Attitude is everything. Out of limitations comes creativity. Of course it does. If you try and limit me in my life, I'm going to find creative ways out of that. So these, it'd be a waste to have that under there. I'll try and get it up again. Can leave that one. This is the other advantage with not putting too much glue on things. Out of limitations comes creativity. I wonder if there's anything for him up here. I think she might also need be original. And I started out by saying he's looking smug, but I don't think that that's necessarily the whole story with him. So I think I'm going to give him attitude is everything. He's heading off to a really scary school where he's going to have to make his way and hold his own. Yes. And yeah, so those balancing acts, the circle, the size of her, she's large, he's small, but his circle is large, that circle is small. The cutting in half of the ephemera so that you've got those echoes from side to side. And I need to finish with a bit of spatter. And I think I do want some white spatter to start with because it gives a highlight to a page. But I might also be persuaded on this occasion. So this is my scrubby spatter brush. It's just a brush that is pretty much dead at the ends. I get it a little bit wet that paint and spatter onto the page. And it's just about having a bit of spontaneous life and movement. That's quite watery, so it's going to dry quite pale. So don't panic if you're thinking, oh, I'm covering everything up. The wateryness of that paint means it's going to disappear. And the shininess of these faces means I can just wipe it away from the faces themselves. I don't mind it on the people. That's fine. But I usually don't want to cover up the face. And then I'm thinking I might just want a smidge of blue spatter. Don't want much, really don't want much. And I'm going to mix it in with that white so that instead of dark midnight, I'm getting, see how that gives me just a little bit of texture across the page to join the two of them back up together. And there we go. And there they are. I might do a little bit of adding extra glue just to make sure these things are not going to peel off. But I do quite like them sticking up there as long as I can close the book. Yeah, I can close the book. I'll move that one so that it is glued, so that it's not going to do that. That's the test. close the book, see if it'll work. And I'll be back with a little close-up montage moving across this so that you can have a proper look at the texture and what it's doing. Thanks so much for stopping by again today. I have a feeling this might be an extended edition once more, a few more minutes of fun, partly because of sorting through all these labels, but I'm inviting you to the craft table here. It's not all set up in advance. I make a couple of decisions sometimes in advance, but then I change my mind as I go. So you are just joining me for playtime. If you've enjoyed it, I'd love it if you'd hit the thumbs up button. Do leave comments or questions down below. And if you haven't subscribed, you'd be very welcome to join and subscribe so that you don't miss any more few minutes of fun. And keep an eye out. As I say, I may already have published the flip through of this book. There are going to be 2 episodes of the flip through of this book. One where I'm just going to turn the pages and let you look at them with music, and one where I'm going to talk in more detail about what's on each of the pages within this altered hardback book. But that's more than enough from me today. I hope you've enjoyed these few minutes of fun, and I'll see you all again soon. Happy crafting all.